Okay, so here we are on the keywords page. This is the keywords tutorial video. Now there is quite a lot to cover here, so please bear with me. Please also remember that you can pause at any time if you want to make some notes, and you can always replay the video if you need to. Okay, first of all, the default view is 50 entries. You can cut that down to 10 or 25, or you can expand it to 100 if you want to. Secondly, we have show or hide columns. Now this allows us to hide any of the columns of information that you don't want, or there are a couple of others that you can pick up if you are interested in them. We found this is generally the most useful and valuable information to be looking at. Okay, the next thing I want to have a look at is the filters at the bottom. There are quite a lot of filters available here, and they have a number of options on how they can be used. For instance, the domains, this is quite easy. You can simply choose from, if I scroll a bit here, you can't actually see it, but there's all or by option. So where we choose by, basically it's going to limit it to those where there is a .org available. Now, quick note for you here. Obviously the most desired ones are the .coms, but personally I'm as happy with a .org as I am with a .com. Generally a .org, well specifically a .org will rank just as easily and just as quickly as a .com domain. The other point to remember is that a .org will often get more click-throughs simply because people don't perceive it as being a commercial, paid-for, trying to sell them something site. It's usually perceived as an information for free kind of site. So people will often be happier to click on a .org more than a .com. So there's nothing wrong whatsoever with going after the .org instead. Okay. Now I'll take that back to all. You may want to be careful about trying to use too many of the filters at the same time. Try to keep it to just one or two most of the time. It makes things simpler. The one that I find the most useful generally is the value. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the specifier of greater than. So greater than $100 a month, and hit return. And that will then filter it to all those domains that have a value of over $100 a month. You can also use less than, so if you were searching on the page rank or the backlinks, you might want to say less than 2 or less than 500, and again filter that way. It depends on whether you think it's better to filter on the value or the difficulty. Up to you which one you go for. Experiment with both and see how you find the results. You can also, if I take that back out, obviously having deleted it, I will then need to hit return to refresh the view. But you can also filter by a keyword. So I could actually put in here, let's say mountain, and hit return, and it will get it to all those keywords that involve the word mountain. I think mountain cabins is actually quite a good niche to go after, but obviously there's quite a few keywords that involve the word mountain, 766 in fact at present. Okay, so that's the filters and how you use them. The other filter here is the star, and this allows us to filter back to those keywords that we've previously tagged as being of interest, i.e. keywords that we want to look at in more detail and potentially work with. So all you do with this is click the star. Again, I mentioned in a previous video as well, it may be that you have a tick box here rather than a star if you're using Internet Explorer. I'm using Google Chrome in this case, but you can also use Firefox, which I'd highly recommend. Now, it's only brought up those that I've tagged previously that also have the word mountain in it. So I'm actually going to get rid of the word mountain and hit return again and refresh it, and you'll see that I've got quite a few that I've tagged earlier as being of interest. Okay, now we'll take a look at the actual values across the top. Okay, I'm going to start with the explanation of the ops column rather than value or clicks, because that is very, very important, and it's a really important feature on how the system actually works. Ops stands for opportunities. Now, when you're doing keyword research manually, you're often taught to look at the number of competing sites in Google. Now, that's actually pretty irrelevant, because to rank, you really want to rank on the first page, otherwise you're not going to get any clicks. So the number of competing sites isn't that relevant, it's how good the top 10 results are. And in fact, the studies show that it's the top 5 results in Google that get the vast majority of the clicks. So what we're actually interested in is whether we can rank in the top 5 on the first page in Google. And that's what we're identifying here. We're basically looking at those top 5 results and looking at the number of backlinks to each page, looking at whether it's had some search engine optimization, looking at the page rank, and things like this to identify the potential to beat out one or more of those top 5 results and replace them with our own site. Okay, so that's what the opportunities are, how many potential opportunities there are to get into that top 5, because that's the heart of what we're aiming for. Okay, it's important to understand that ops figure first, because the value and clicks are based on the ops. For instance, if I unfilter from my favorites and go back, you'll see where there's white ones, often there's a 0 value. And that's usually because we haven't actually identified any opportunities. It's not always the case, but for instance here, there are 0 opportunities. We're saying it doesn't look like it's going to be possible to rank in the top 5, or at least with not without a massive amount of effort and a long time to do so. So if there aren't any opportunities, then there isn't a value and there isn't any clicks because we can't get in the top 5. Okay, so that opportunities is a very important figure, and it's what we base the value and the clicks on. Let's go back to the favorites. Now the clicks is basically the potential number of clicks or estimated number of clicks you can get from the top opportunity available. If I click on this and drill down, I'll discuss this drill down in more detail later, but what we're saying is the top opportunity here is the first position in Google. Now based on that, that's the number of clicks that we can potentially get. So if we get that first position, we can get 145 clicks a month based on what the first position in Google, the ratio of clicks that it would get. If it was a second position, it would probably be a lower figure, third position, even lower figure, etc. So that figure is derived from the opportunities, whether there are any, and how high the highest is. The value is then calculated based on the number of clicks, and we also take into account the cost per click value for the AdSense figure or AdWords figure in Google. We also take into consideration the click-through rate that you're likely to get, and we base that on roughly 10 to 12%. And we then work out the percentage, or add in the percentage payment that you actually get of that CPC figure from AdSense. Okay, so we try to make that figure as accurate as possible. It's a very good idea of what you can potentially make if you're just using AdSense to monetize your site. Okay, now obviously AdSense is one of the easiest ways of monetizing a site, but it's also pretty much the lowest return you can get. You'll usually get a higher return using affiliate programs, CPA offers, list building, memberships, your own info products, etc. Okay, so in some ways this is the minimum value that you should be able to achieve. Okay, so that's opportunities, clicks, and value. Let's have a look at the other figures or the other data that we've got. Okay, the PageRank figure here is actually the average PageRank for the top 5 pages or results in Google for this keyword. So it's the average overall for those top 5. The same is true for the backlinks. Okay, so don't be thrown off by super high backlink count. It could be that that's been thrown out by 1 or 2 results with a very, very high figure. For instance, here we go. There's 2 with massive backlink counts here. There's 1 with only 218. Okay, so that backlinks figure is the average for the top 5. So again, as I say, don't be thrown off by a large figure there. We then have whether the .com, .net or .orgs are available, and as I said, the .org can potentially be just as powerful as the .com. We then have whether the fan page Vanity URL is available, and you can click on these links. These are live links, so it'll take you straight through to Namecheap to buy the domain. Namecheap is pretty much the best registrar. It's cheap, it's in the name, and it's very, very easy to use. And likewise, this will take you through to the Facebook username or fan page setup page. Okay, so those are the columns of data we have. Next, we'll drill down and have a look at the extra information that we're giving you for each keyword. Okay, let's have a look at the drill down and pick a few examples. Let's go with creamy garlic sauce to start off with. Now what we're doing here is basically drilling down to see the top 5 results in Google and to get some more information about them. This is actually quite a good example. You can see these top 2 have been highly optimized. They've got the keyword an exact match in the URL and in the title. Okay, so these are highly optimized. They've had search engine optimization work on them. The guys who've done these seem to have a good idea of what they're doing. We've got some opportunities here. For instance, this one, there's 0 backlinks, only page rank 1. It's in the title, but it's not in the URL. So we could potentially beat that by having it in the URL. We could also beat it simply by getting more backlinks to it and making sure we have the keyword in the title. The last example here, this 5th position, this is another good example. This is a YouTube video, and it's reasonably aged because it's got PR2 and it has got the keyword in the title, but it's not actually at the start of the title. You could potentially beat this, or at least become 6th, by doing your own version of this video, and instead of calling it how to make shrimp in creamy garlic sauce, you want to get the creamy garlic sauce closer to the start, so you go shrimp in creamy garlic sauce, step-by-step instruction video, something like that. Okay, so your keywords are then closer to the start, gives you a bit more weight. Then all you do is build more backlinks to that particular video, and it may take you a little while, but you should actually outrank that video. Hey presto, you're in the top 5. Okay, so there's an example of drill down information. Actually, I'll go back to that for a second. Where there is a full dot, that means it is an exact match. What I need to do is find an example of where it's not an exact match. What do we got here? Here's another good one. Magnetic bracelets, do they work? Now this, yeah, here we go. See, this is a hollow dot, so there is a keyword match, but it's partial. Partial could mean that it's only 2 out of the 3 keywords, or they're in a different order, or it's plural, or something like that. So it's not an exact match, or in, yeah, different order is another example. Okay, this one, I think what the guy's done wrong here, he is trying to optimize it, but he's trying to target 3 separate keywords. He's trying to go for copper bracelets, do they work? Magnetic bracelets, do they work? And ionized bracelets, do they work? You can see that's a mistake. We could beat that by targeting specifically magnetic bracelets, do they work, having it in the URL, having it in an exact match in the title, and get more backlinks. Hey presto, we should actually potentially be able to grab the 1st place there. Might take us a little while longer to get to 1st place because he's got page rank 3, but we should be able to slip into page rank 2 or position 2 or 3 quite easily as well. You'll see that's actually a Yahoo Answers post, so we could do our own Yahoo Answers post and potentially beat out that position again just by getting more links. Okay, so you can see there's potential here, and this drill down information shows us that very quickly and easily. So really useful information. The last column here, this is whether it's an authority site, generally a .edu or a .gov or something like that. It's something that we want to point out in case you need to be aware of it, but it doesn't always mean that you can't outrank for that particular keyword. What have we got? Let me find an example. I think there was one here. Retirement income plan. Yeah, here we go. Right, this has got a .edu, but you'll notice even though it's an authority site and it has the keyword in the title, it's not ranking 1st. There are other sites beating it. Okay, and it's down to the fact that this has currently got page rank 0. Now that may rise as its page rank increases. It's only got 92 backlinks, this has got 123, and it's got more optimization. It's got it in the URL as well as the title. Okay, so you can see how powerful the backlinks and having the keyword in the title and the URL are, and preferably an exact match. Okay, so this drill down option allows us to get that sort of information for all the different keywords. What you can then do is obviously go across to the niches and look for a niche that is based on one of these keywords. So for instance here, I've picked out a few keywords that are related to jaw surgery. I'd probably want to look up the keyword, the niche itself for jaw surgery, because that will have pulled all those keywords together for me under one niche. Okay, hopefully that gives you a very clear idea of how useful this information is and how it's going to allow you to pick the right keywords to attack and the right domains to go after. but we now need to go on to the next tutorial video, which is looking at the niches, which is what pulls all this together for us. Okay, so thank you for watching this one, and please go on to the next video, which is about the niches page.